Hi, I'm Representative Ilana Rubel, the House Democratic leader here at the State House. I had an opportunity to go to the White House earlier this year with Senator Melissa Wintrow to meet with red state legislators from all over America to discuss reproductive rights. And this meeting confirmed what we had suspected, that Idaho is in fact the worst in America for women's rights and for reproductive freedom. First, Idaho's total abortion ban has no health exception whatsoever. The only thing under Idaho law, as written, that justifies an abortion is certainty of death, not likelihood of death, not paralysis, not loss of organs, not permanent infertility. You have to prove a 100% chance of death. Second reason, Idaho's abortion ban has no fatal fetal anomaly exception. So if you have a fetus with no spinal cord, no skull, or no possibility of survival after birth, you are nevertheless forced under Idaho law to carry through all 9 months, and there is no court order saving you from that. Third, we are the only state in America to criminalize transporting a minor to a state where abortion is legal, where you face, I think, 3 to 5 years in prison for helping a minor get to a state where they can obtain a safe and legal abortion. Fourth, we are the only state in America right now to threaten doctors with criminal penalties for even telling people how or where they could get an abortion. If a doctor even says, hey, abortion is legal in Oregon, according to our Attorney General, that doctor may have committed a felony facing extensive prison time. Fifth, we are the only abortion-banning state in America that does not provide 12 months of postpartum Medicaid coverage. So not only are we forcing women through involuntary pregnancy and childbirth, but we are then not providing them health care for 12 months after giving birth, unlike every other state that bans abortion. Sixth, we are the only state in America that does not have a maternal mortality review committee. The legislature took it upon themselves to terminate this committee last session. And Idaho has very high maternal mortality, actually, but perhaps they were aware that their abortion laws were likely to cause more deaths among pregnant women, and they didn't want a committee collecting and reporting that information. So now 49 other states have a maternal mortality review committee, but not Idaho.
And since these bans have gone into effect, 18 reproductive health physicians have left Idaho or retired early within the past year. We've lost 4 out of 9 maternal fetal medicine specialists. In North Idaho, 6 out of 10 OBGYN physicians have left. And there are no residency or fellowship training programs in Idaho to replenish our workforce. In our state, physician recruitment has completely dried up, meaning that everyone that leaves or retired is now irreplaceable. And recently, a group of extremist legislators sent a letter to local hospitals asking for their records and putting criminal penalties front and center if they're not in compliance. No Idahoan should have to be afraid that their government could show up on their doorstep and take them away after data mining their private information when they simply get a treatment for managing a miscarriage. And let me be clear, there are no rape or incest exceptions, even though the politicians say there are. Most victims don't report rape to police. We know that. Nor should we force them due to trauma, fear, victim blaming, just to name a few. And even if they did report, I'm not aware of any policing agencies that have created policies on how to get your permission slip for cops to take to a physician. And even if you did get your permission slip, which is more than demeaning and very difficult because the report is exempt by law from disclosure, how do you find a doctor to help you? No doctor in the right mind is going to sign on to a public list with their government spying on them, an AG rabid to prosecute, and the GOP enacted bounty hunter law that encourages family members of rapists to sue the physician if they help someone. There are no workable ways for somebody who has raped to get an abortion unless you leave this state. And just because these politicians and party bosses say there is an exception, it doesn't make it true. As Idahoans, we deserve better. Women, not politicians, should have the freedom to make their personal decisions about their unique circumstances, including when it comes to abortion care.
While the Idaho Republican supermajority keeps passing bills to restrict women's rights, they are hostile to the policies that help mothers support their families, be financially independent, and stay in the workforce. In 2021, the legislature had a simple task. It merely had to approve a 3-year, $18 million grant for locally designed, locally run preschool programs that were going to be set up in towns all across the state. And these small communities had already received planning grants, and they'd come together to design local solutions, drawing on their local assets and their local priorities. But tragically, a majority of House Republicans voted against approving the grant, shutting down those preschool opportunities before they got started. One Republican said on the House floor that he opposed it because it would make it easier or more convenient for mothers to come out of the home. This is a slap in the face to every hardworking mother. It was a statement meant to shame women for working and to limit their economic opportunity. Since then, we have had opportunities to provide assistance to childcare businesses, most of which are small in-home daycares run by women. And a majority of Republicans regularly vote against helping these small businesses, even when every industry in Idaho is saying that access to childcare is a problem for their workforce. When we have been able to approve childcare business support, it's usually been Democrats who deliver the deciding votes against a majority of Republican legislators. Idaho's Republican legislators also continue to block popular tax policies that would put more dollars into the hands of moms, like giving back more via the child tax credit, establishing an earned income tax credit, or removing the sales tax on groceries. And they do all of this while heaping even more kickbacks onto the wealthy and well-connected, including the most profitable corporations. As a Democrat in the Idaho legislature, where my party holds only 18% of the seats, I know what it's like to be an underdog fighting for underdogs. Sadly, women and girls are underdogs in Idaho. We're half the population, but we're having our freedoms taken away and our needs ignored.
The current disaster, and it is unquestionably a disaster for women and for those who love them, was perpetrated by elected officials who are supposed to be acting for the benefit of Idahoans, including for Idaho women. But instead, they are actively endangering us. And there is no realistic possibility that the people who created this crisis are going to fix it.
What can you do? Well, engage in your community. Write a letter to the editor. Teach students how to get involved. And if you're a student, get involved. Check sources on information and challenge misinformation. Very important in today's world.
The entire legislature is up for re-election every 2 years, so there's always an opportunity to change who is in office.
We need new people in there if we are going to make this state healthy and safe for Idaho women again. There are those of us who are working very hard to make that happen, and we need your help. There is so much that you can do. Every seat in the legislature is up for election, is on the ballot next year.
Legislators are everyday Idahoans who stepped up and ran for office. If you aren't ready to run for office yourself, you can help recruit good people in your community who will protect everyone's rights. And you can encourage your friends and neighbors to run and support them by volunteering or making a donation.
Vote and run for office yourself.
There's so much you can do. Write letters to the editor, help register voters, donate to campaigns, volunteer for campaigns, run for office yourself.
We have a moral imperative to stand up and say what's happening isn't right. And that's how we're going to get our state back on track.
Please help us in this cause. Lives are on the line and our freedom's on the line, and we appreciate you taking the time to listen.